Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series Rescue the Rockies. And the 2044 postseason is about to get underway. Our Rockies, once again, one of the top teams in baseball, a 162 record this year. We've perennially been one of the top teams in baseball. Unfortunately, have not had great success in the playoffs when we've gotten past the regular season. Haven't won a World Series since 2040, and back-to-back first-round playoff exits in series in which we were upset by teams that, in theory, we should have beaten. Hopefully, it'll be a better result this year. Taking a look at the playoff tree for us, over in the American League, the Mariners and the A's will be facing off for the right to play the Rangers, the Astros and the White Sox in a wild card series for a chance at the Red Sox, the Brewers and the Mets, the winner of which will face the Cardinals, and our Rockies will face either the Braves or the Los Angeles Dodgers, depending on the results of their wild card series. This will also be the last episode of this series in OOTP 26. We still have unfinished business, but after the postseason concludes, hopefully in this episode, we will transfer the game over to the new version, OOTP 27, and start experimenting with that a bit more actively. Won't be the same thing as going into a pure greenfield game. We've expanded this league. We've played for over 10 months at this point, but still should hopefully learn some of the nuances of OOTP 27 a little bit better when we actively start playing the game, even if it's in fictional 2044 to 2045 off-season. And as we get ready for the divisional series, which has been our kryptonite the last couple of postseasons, perhaps a little bit of a break. The Dodgers were a 95-win team, second best record in the National League that ended up as a wild card only because they were in the same division as us. Whereas the Braves at 80 and 82 were the very mediocre type of division winner you get in the 8-4-team division setup that we have from time to time. So hopefully that's a break for us, and we'll finally be able to, at the very least, move back to the National League Championship Series this year. In the other series, the Mets took out the Brewers in 3, the Astros took out the White Sox in 3, and the Mariners swept the A's out of the playoffs. And as I noted, our Rockies with a 162 record, 20 games better than the Braves this year, so we should be a favorite. We took 8 out of 12 games against them, finished second in the league in runs scored and first in runs against, while the Braves were 11th in the league in runs scored and 15th in runs against. So on paper, no excuses for our Rockies to not finally get a win in a National League Divisional Series. On the mound for Atlanta, 30-year-old Carlos Velez, 13-11 with a 4.25 ERA this year, put up a WAR of 3.4. Looks like a pretty typical season from him. Pretty good, solid pitcher. Stuff is not particularly impressive, but really good at keeping the ball down and in the ballpark, and good control as well for the lefty. On the mound for our Rockies, last year's National League Cy Young Award winner, Jesse Hoffmeister, who we signed to a massive extension rather than letting him hit free agency. 12-6 with a 3.31 ERA this year, did strike out 212 batters in 160 and a third innings, put up a 4.7 WAR, 133 ERA plus and a 71 FIP minus. As good as Velez is, being at home and with Hoffmeister on the mound, certainly would think that our Rockies are favorites to get the win in Game 1 of this series. And we do get a 6-2 victory, home run from our catcher, Tyler Barry, who plays for us, starts for us only regularly against left-handed pitching, but did a good job there. Scored a run in the third, RBI single by Mike Castro in the bottom of the fifth, another RBI single by Castro. Bottom of the sixth is when we broke things open. McNeil with an RBI single, and then Luis Escobar with a 2-run double. Obviously, that means that the home run by Barry was a solo shot there in the seventh inning. Held on for a 6-2 victory, allowed just 4 hits. Castro 2 for 4 with those 2 ribbies. He is probably, unfortunately, playing his final games in a Colorado Rockies uniform. The former first-round draft pick has had a really nice career for us. He was the National League MVP a year ago. 32 years old now, though, and has some personality quirks, including high financial ambition. He was looking for close to $50 million a year. You may remember, though, that we have a new manager this year, Adam Moreno, and apparently they have a conflicted personality that Castro is uninterested in continuing his career with us. But as I mentioned, with the money that he was looking for, there was really not any realistic way for us to bring him back anyways. But hopefully he can go out with a World Series championship with the rest of the Rockies. Going to have another off season with a lot of turnover, of course. And Castro will be first and foremost among the likely losses to our roster this season. And as you can see, even if money wasn't an issue, seems like we'd have to fire our manager to have any chance of bringing Castro back. And then we'd also need to find a lot of money that we just don't have in the budget. Game number 2, still at home. 30-year-old right-hander from Wyckoff, New Jersey, Joe Matthews, on the mound for the Braves. Split the year between Baltimore and Atlanta, combined 9-15 record between the two squads. Was not great with Atlanta, 1-8 record with an ERA of close to 6, although he still was above replacement level. On the mound for us, we had last year's Cy Young Award winner going in Game 1, potentially this year's Cy Young Award winner going in Game number 2. Ray Salas led the National League with 19 wins, 19-2 record. He's run his record as a major leaguer to a ridiculous 32-3 over his first 2 seasons in the show. Also led the league in WHIP, FIP minus, and WAR at 6.6. So we've got high expectations to hopefully be heading to Atlanta up 2-0. And we do get a win today, a close one, 6-5. Our closer, Eric Schweitzer, got the win in relief. Luis Rodriguez takes the L in relief. Another homer for the Braves for Jeremy Collins. Also got one from Joe Mauser. Another catcher home run for us. Alex Arellano matches what we saw from Barry in Game number 1 with a homer. And Mike Castro trying to make the most out of his final days with the Rockies. Home run for us. Fell behind 2-1 in the first inning, tied it up in the fifth with a RBI double by Beryl Davia. The Braves then extended a lead to 5-3 heading into the bottom of the ninth. The 2-run home run by Alex Arellano ties things up. And then Mr. McNeil, good young hitter for us, RBI double to walk things off in the bottom of the 10th. 2 hits for Castro and McNeil, 3 for the designated hitter Chris Kuhn. Salas, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, allowed 3 earned runs over 5 innings. Kennedy, Harville, Joss, Hirota, and Schweitzer all on in relief. So we emptied out the bullpen a bit in the 10-inning game, but Salas is your player of the game with a nice performance. And we are headed to Atlanta up 2-0. And I realized that we never really looked at Hoffmeister's performance in Game number 1. 2 hits, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts over 6 innings pitched. Both Joss and Ramirez gave up runs in relief, but obviously too little, too late with the scoring by the Braves. And we'll be going for a sweep here in game number 3 against Atlanta. Might be important to get the win because St. Louis is also going to be going for a sweep in New York against the Mets. On the mound for the Braves, the right-hander Enrique Soto, 32-year-old, was 7-10 with a 3.83 ERA this year, a WAR of just over 3. On the mound for our Rockies, free agent acquisition from last year came over from Japan. Takamasa Ichimura went 9-5 with a 3.71 ERA, a WAR of over 4, making his major league debut at the age of 27 this season. See if we can get a W to sweep the series, and we do get the win 6-2. So 6 runs scored for our Rockies in every game in this series. Outscored the Braves 18-9 overall. And the veteran, Kevin Roberts Jr., who had a rough year for us this year and looks at the age of 36 like he is certainly seen his best days, does hit a home run for us in the victory. Ichimura with the win, Soto with the loss. John Jefferson missed a chunk of time this year with injuries, as he tends to do every season, but had one of the better years of his career. And the third baseman is named the NLDS MVP. Taking a look at the box score, traded runs in the second inning, but 2 in the third, 2-run single by Jefferson, added 2 more in the fifth, 2-run homer by Roberts, the big blow there, pushed us out to a 5-1 lead, ended up winning 6-2, only allowed 4 hits today, so I think the Braves only, I believe, 14 hits over the 3 games, so it's going to be tough to win when they're hitting like that. Jefferson with a monster game, 4 for 5, a couple of runs scored, 3 ribbies. He hit 500 in the series. Chris Kuhn hit 625. Castro hit 357. So a lot of offense. Jefferson does get the MVP award, as we talked about. Ichimura making his American playoff debut. 2 hits, 3 walks, and 1 earned run over 5 1/3 innings. Jorge Pacheco and Ryan Harville pitched the final 3 2/3 innings to push our Rockies finally back to a National League Championship Series. And some good news as we wait for the next round of the playoffs to begin. Alex Gomez making great progress recovering from the injury that cost our second baseman the final chunk of the season. Still, unfortunately, 2 to 3 weeks away. I guess there's an off chance that we might have him for the World Series if we make it that far, but definitely a coin flip at best, even with the progress he's made as to whether he'll be eligible and healthy for the playoffs this year. And after we swept our NLDS, everything else in the playoffs couldn't have gone better for us. 5-game series in every other series. The favored Rangers and Red Sox win in the American League. The Cardinals coughed up that 2-0 series lead to the Mets, so the Mets will be the team that we are facing off against this year in the National League Championship Series. And over in the American League, the Rangers have already taken a 1-0 lead on the Red Sox, so they won the first game of their championship series at home. Hopefully we can do the same thing here against the Mets. Something has to give. The Mets are the defending World Series champions. They won it all last year. The last time that we won it all in 2040 was the last time that we faced the Mets in the playoffs, and we took a divisional series 3-0 against them back then. Hopefully we can get a similarly strong result here. The Mets did have a winning record against us this year. They took 7 of the 12 games that we played, so although we were 13 games better than the NL East champions in the standings, they had our number. They have the 6th-ranked offense and the 10th-ranked pitching staff in terms of runs against. We've got our ace Hoffmeister on the mound. The Mets will be going to the 29-year-old right-hander Miguel Polanco. your 2041 NL Cy Young Award winner, 10-9 with an ERA of close to 4 this year, a WAR of 4.4. So a really nice pitching matchup here today to get this series underway. And we do get a 3-0 victory. Hoffmeister with the win, Polanco with the loss, Schweitzer on presumably in the 9th for the save. Home run from Chris Kuhn. Scored all 3 of our runs in the 4th. 2-run homer by Kuhn, followed by a RBI single later on by Kevin Roberts Jr. So a 3-0 victory, only 7 hits in the entire game. Nobody on either team had more than a single hit here today. Hoffmeister was outstanding. 3 hits, 2 walks, no earned runs over 6 1/3 innings. Hasn't been striking out people at his normal pace these playoffs, but he hasn't allowed an earned run yet, and we'll certainly take that. Harville and Schweitzer combined for the final 2 2/3 innings, allowing just a lone walk among them. So a good start here for our Rockies in the National League Championship Series. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going in game number 2. We've got Salas back on the mound for us. The Mets with the 34-year-old right-hander from Burlington, Vermont, Mike Condor Garcia, another former Cy Young Award winner back in 2036, 8 years ago. He was the AL Cy Young Award winner. Stuff is not great. He's wrecked physically, but his movement and control still above average. He was 6-11 with a 4.70 ERA and a 3 WAR for the Mets this year. So a couple of Cy Young Award winners faced off in game number 1. We won that one. The Mets have a Cy Young Award winner on the mound. We think we've got this year's Cy Young Award winner on the mound, although we won't know that until long after this series is over. 5-3 win for the Rockies, though. Got the job done today. Chris Kennedy gets the win in relief. Loss to Gerald Stearman. Schweitzer with his second save of the series, and Kuhn with his second dinger of the series. Our Rockies scored runs in the 1st, 3rd, and 4th to take a 3-0 lead. The Mets came back with runs in the top of the 5th, 6th, and 7th to tie it all up 3-3. Bottom of the 8th, 2 runs, including an RBI single by Kuhn, and our Rockies hold on for a 5-3 victory. 2-hit days for Kuhn, McNeil, and Jefferson, as well as Kevin Roberts Jr. We can see we've dropped him down in the batting order against right-handed pitchers for the playoffs after he's spent over a decade as our cleanup hitter against both righties and lefties. Salas threw 97 pitches over 4 innings, so they made him work. He only allowed 1 earned run, but did allow 8 base runners, 5 hits, 3 walks, did strike out 6. So not a vintage Salas performance. Halota and Harville gave up runs in relief, but Kennedy and Schweitzer scoreless over those final 2 innings. Rocky outing from Schweitzer trying to close things out. 1 hit and 2 walks in the 1 inning that he pitched through 29 pitches to get the save. Did end up striking out 2. So probably don't get a lot of points for artistic merit, but we're not in gymnastics or figure skating in the Olympics. We just got to win this one on the field. Doesn't matter if it's pretty. And our Rockies are heading across the country to New York up 2-0. And we're at Citi Field now for game number 3. Would love to wrap up this series in New York, but clearly our primary goal is to win at least one of the next 3 games to ensure that if we do have to head back to Colorado for more baseball in the National League this year, we'll be heading back with a series lead. We've got the Japanese right-hander Takamasa Ichimura on the mound. Justin Miller, 31-year-old right-hander on the mound for the Mets, 15-7 with a 2.70 ERA, a WAR of close to 6 this year. So a really nice season from a guy whose stuff is not particularly impressive on paper. And we get a 7-6 win. Makoto Hirota, who's working out of the bullpen for us in the playoffs, gets the win in relief. Justin Miller takes the loss. And Matthew Halota, the lefty who we picked up in a trade with the Yankees last offseason, picks up the save for us. A couple of home runs from the Mets. They jumped out to a 4-0 lead on us, and they were up 5-1 heading into the fifth. Top of the fifth, we erupted for 6 runs, however. Big blow for us. 2-run shot from Jeff Boyd, the outfielder, who basically only with us because we've had some injury issues this year. Pinch hit home run from Boyd, so a big blow there for us. On our way to 6 runs in that inning. The Mets did score 1 in the 7th, but we did enough to stretch the lead to 3-0. Rough outing for Ichimura. 8 hits, a walk, and 5 earned runs over 4 innings pitched. Hirota and Halota combined for 5 innings of 2-hit, 2-walk baseball, allowing a run. Player of the game, Chase Mulvaney for the Mets, but we get the victory, and we are now on the precipice of returning to the World Series for the first time in 4 years. Started scouting some of the international amateur free agents. That pool was revealed a couple of days ago at this point, so we'll be spending more time thinking about that, hopefully in OOTP 27. See if we can close out the sweep over in the American League. The Rangers and the Red Sox knotted up at 2 games apiece. Tomas Pena on the mound for our Rockies. He was a 5th starter most of this year, but we did give him the opportunity to take over for Hirota as the 4th starter in the playoffs. 8-6 record with a 3.05 ERA and a 4.6 WAR for the 25-year-old who this was his first full-time major league experience this season. Struck out 187 batters and led the National League with a strikeout to walk ratio of 5.3. So we've got a good righty on the mound for us. On the mound for the Mets, Ramon Hueso, 32-year-old right-hander. Doesn't look like he started a game all year, so they may be using him as an opener, or maybe they're not really going to start him. 1-1 record with a 2.42 ERA and a 1.5 WAR. Doesn't have great stamina, but perhaps the Mets have had some injuries over the course of the playoffs, and they need to start Hueso. Certainly would think that this matchup favors us. Can we get the sweep? No, we can't. 6-5 loss. Our Schweitzer, our closer, he's also our Schweitzer, takes the loss in relief. Stearman, who lost a game earlier in the season, evens his record in the series at 1-1. Chris Kuhn with his 3rd homer of the series, but the Mets finally break through. Volatile 9th inning. Game was tied 3-3 heading into the 9th. We scored 2 in the top of the 9th, feeling really good about things, and then the Mets come back with 3 in the bottom of the 9th to walk us off. Mulvaney, another big day for the Mets with 3 hits. We had 3 hits from Kuhn, 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored, 2 ribbies. Nobody else had more than a hit for our Rockies. Pena with a solid outing, 2 earned runs over 5 innings pitched, struck out 7. Kennedy, Harville, Schweitzer, and Joss all on in relief. Rough outing for Harville and Schweitzer in particular. Hueso was their starter, and he did a nice job. Gave them 5 innings, 3 hits, only 1 earned run. Dombrowski gave them 2 scoreless innings. Stearman, who lost that game earlier in the season, would have been on the hook for the loss if we had been able to make the 2-run lead in the bottom of the 9th hold up. But unfortunately, we were not able to do that, and that pushes us to game number 5 and means that we will have to use our number 1 starter here once again. Red Sox up 3-2 on the Rangers over in the American League. We've got Hoffmeister going up against Polanco in a rematch of the game we won 3-0 in game number 1. And the Mets turned the tables on us, and they shut us out with that same pitching matchup, 2-0. So took the 3-0 series lead on the Mets. We're feeling good about things. They've now won 2 in a row. Polanco with the W, Hoffmeister with the loss, Alvarez with the save, Mulvaney, who's having a big series for the Mets, with a homer. Not a lot of offense for our Rockies, just 4 hits on the day. Manriquez, Boyd again is a pinch hitter, and Carlos Bear de Villa had a couple of hits, even though he's hitting just a .194 in the playoffs. Hoffmeister was fine. 5 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts over 5 1/3, allowed just 1 run. But unfortunately, Ramirez also allowed a run in the 9th inning, and even worse, or I guess that run was actually in the 8th inning because the Mets didn't need to bat in the 9th inning. But going to be hard to win a baseball game when you don't score any runs. So the Mets are making things interesting, and we were hoping we might have a little bit of a rest before a potential World Series matchup. Now we're worried about just making the World Series. And the Red Sox upended the Rangers yesterday, so they are waiting for us at this point. So they will be the more rested team for whoever they have to face in the World Series. Our hope would be to clinch things today, rematch of game number 2 on the mound, which we won 5-3 when it went into the bullpen. Garcia, the 34-year-old righty, on the mound for the Mets, and we've got the prospective National League Cy Young Award winner, the 25-year-old Ray Salas, on the mound. And our Rockies win this one easily, 12-3. So Salas with the win, Garcia with the loss. 2 home runs by Kuhn, 5 for the series. He's named your series MVP. NLDS MVP John Jefferson does hit a home run as well. But we left no doubt crooked numbers in 4 of the first 5 innings, scored runs in all of the first 5 innings on our way to an 11-0 lead over the Mets. They did add 2 in the 7th and then 1 in the 9th, but a pretty dominant performance by our Colorado Rockies. Everyone in the starting lineup had at least 1 hit. 3 hits from Bear de Villa and Justin Jefferson, who drove in 5. Kuhn drove in 4. So a big day for the offense. Salas, 3 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned runs, and 10 strikeouts over 6 1/3 innings pitched. Pacheco and Hirota with the relief performances for us. Rough outing to finish the season for Garcia. 6 hits, 2 walks, and 6 earned runs over just an inning and 2/3. And we took advantage of some of their relievers as well. Second baseman Mario Manriquez, pending leg injury while running the bases. So we may need to make a roster move ahead of the World Series depending on what that injury looks like. But the good news is that for the first time since 2040, our Rockies are headed back to the Fall Classic. And unfortunately, a torn hammy for Mario Manriquez, who will be out for the World Series. So we've got a tough decision to make. Still a few days till Alex Gamez will be healthy. So we could put Steve Wheats, who had been injured, on the roster, but he's not as good a player as Alex Gamez. Do we potentially go with 25 men for the first couple games of the series, hoping that Gamez might be healthy for game number 3? Or do we put Wheats on the roster for Manriquez to ensure that we've got an extra body for those first couple games? And with Manriquez out and Steve Wheats having basically been a replacement level player while he was on the Major League roster this year, we're going to roll the dice. We think Gamez is 3 days away from recovering, so hopefully we'll have him back for game numbers 3, 4, and more if necessary. We'll end up giving some playing time to Nick Dyer as our third baseman, move John Jefferson over to second base against righties. With the departure of Manriquez, when Gamez is healthy, he probably moves to second base. Jefferson probably moves to third base. Dyer probably moves out of the lineup against both lefty and righties. So we will be down a player coming off the bench for the first couple games of this series. The Red Sox 94-68, as we talked about earlier, the number 2 seed in the American League. Took out the Astros in 5, took out the Rangers in 6. 94-68 record, the best offense in the American League. They ranked 6th in runs against. We've got home field advantage. The Red Sox were similar to the Dodgers, the two teams that had kind of been chasing us for the best record in baseball over the whole second half of the season. Obviously, the Dodgers ended up winning one more than the Red Sox, and the Rangers, with a late season surge, also got past the Red Sox in the standings. Cohen, really good stuff. Tends to walk some batters, though. 12-8 record with a 3.65 ERA. Led the American League in walks for at least third straight season at this point. He's led the American League in walks each of the 3 years that he's had a full season in the majors, but still put up a WAR of close to 3. We've got the Japanese right-hander Takamasa Ichimura on the mound for our Rockies. Goal is obviously to get this series off to a good start. We do get a 9-4 win. Unfortunately, Kevin Roberts Jr., back tightness, moderate effect, going to take 4 days for him to be fully healthy. So that is certainly not ideal. Moderate impact on his running, minimal impact on his hitting and his throwing. We do have a potential off day tomorrow. We'll have to give that some thought. Take a look, though, at what happened in the game. Ichimura with the win, Cohen with the loss. Kuhn, who is having a monster playoff run, another home run for him. Looking at the box score, the Red Sox scored in the top of the first, but in the bottom of the fourth, RBI walk by Arellano and a bases-loaded double by Mike Castro pushed us to a 4-1 lead. We extended it to 7-1 heading into the 6th. Had a 9-1 lead heading into the top of the 9th. The Red Sox scored 3 runs there, but still a relatively easy victory for our Rockies. Roberts was 1 for 3 with a ribby and a walk before he left the game. 219 average, 1 homer, and 6 ribbies through these playoffs. Ichimura, 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned run over 5 innings. Ramirez, who's got a 12.27 ERA in the playoffs, has had some rough outings for us. Nice performance from Halota, though, who gave us 3 innings out of the bullpen, allowing just 1 hit while striking out 4. Cohen with a tough outing, allowed 10 base runners, 6 hits, 4 walks, 5 earned runs over just 4 innings. Their left fielder, Alfonso Baltazar, day-to-day with a sore back. So a couple of outfielders, 1 for each team, dealing with some injury issues. John Jefferson, the player of the game, 3 for 3 with 3 runs scored. And getting ready for game number 2, we are not going to take a potential future Hall of Famer out of the lineup, even if he is older and not what he used to be. So Kevin Roberts Jr., at least for the time being, going to remain on the roster. If we end up crippling him, then maybe we need to make another move. Hopefully we won't have to. We've got last year's Cy Young Award winner Jesse Hoffmeister on the mound. The lefty, Danny West, the crafty veteran lefty, almost 34 years old, 12-10 with a 3.75 ERA this year, led the American League with just half a home run allowed per 9 innings and put up a 3.7 WAR for the Red Sox. Doesn't impress you with his ratings or his velocity or his arsenal of pitches, but the all-star from 2039 is a guy who seems to get the job done. That said, at home with Hoffmeister on the mound, feel like we should be favorites to put up a 2-0 lead in the series today. Unfortunately, we lose a close one, 2-1. West with the W, Hoffmeister with the loss, Foster with the save. Red Sox incredible second baseman Xavier Sanders with a home run. They scored runs on us in the second and the third, including a solo homer from Sanders. We scored run in the bottom of the sixth, Bear Barrel Davia with an RBI single. But that was it. Only 3 hits on the day for the Red Sox, but they get the 2-1 victory against us. So this seems like one that we may end up regretting. West was outstanding, 5 hits, no walks, and 1 earned run over 7. Hoffmeister, 3 hits, a couple of walks, 2 earned runs over 5. But he drops his postseason record this year to 2-2, even though he's got a sterling 119 earned run average. So the Boston Red Sox did what they needed to do in Colorado. They won a game, got the split. So 3 straight in Boston. If the Red Sox take them all, we won't be playing another game in Colorado this year, unfortunately. We've got a good one, though. The righty Ray Salas on the mound for Boston. 26-year-old left-hander Edgar De Los Rios, 9-6 with a 3.89 ERA this year, put up a 2.2 WAR for Boston. Alex Gomez is healthy. He's in the lineup at second base. As expected, we pivoted John Jefferson to third base, took Nick Dyer out of the lineup. Kevin Roberts Jr., 1-day recovery time at this point, so we're still going to play him just as normal, and hopefully he'll be fully healthy for the rest of this series. Would love to get a win today in Boston. That'll guarantee that we do go back to Colorado alive in the playoffs at the very least, and feel like when Salas is on the mound, pretty important for us to get a victory. And we do get a victory 5-0. Salas with what must have been a good performance on our way to a 5-0 victory. Scoreless baseball until the 4th inning. Scored 4 in the top of the 6th. 2-run double by Torres. McNeil with an RBI double. And Alex Gomez in the lineup for the first time in a couple of months. RBI single against Fox. So 5 runs on 9 hits for our Rockies. Just a lone hit for the Red Sox. So a brilliant performance from Salas. 1 hit, 2 walks, no earned runs, 9 strikeouts over 8 innings. Ramirez finally with a scoreless inning, although he still gave up 2 walks. De Los Rios was good, but Fox had a very rough outing in relief. Salas, not surprisingly, is your player of the game here at Fenway. And we've got back on serve. Essentially, the goal now is to win one of the next 2 so we can head back to Colorado with a lead in the series. Obviously, would love to win them both, but we won't get greedy. If we can take one of the next 2 and head back to Colorado up 3-2, have to like our chances in that scenario. Tomas Pena, the 25-year-old righty on the mound for our Rockies. Marcos Suarez, 35-year-old right-hander, 12-13 with a 4.35 ERA and a 1.2 WAR on the mound for the Red Sox. Definitely the least impressive pitching matchup of this series with Pena and Suarez on board. All we care about is getting a W. Not to be the case, though. 4-3 loss. Schweitzer, the closer, with another loss in relief. Home run for the Red Sox by Adam Giesler. We scored runs in the first and third to take a 2-0 lead. They came back with 3 in the fourth. 3-run dinger by Giesler to take the lead. Tied it up in the top of the 9th on a hit by pitch by Arellano. But in the bottom of the 10th, an RBI single from Schubert sends the Fenway faithful home happy with a walk-off win to knot the World Series at 2 games apiece. Suarez went just 3 1/3 innings, allowed 7 hits, but only 2 earned runs. So had a chance, presumably, for some runs there. We left 10 batters on base. So we certainly had our chances. Pena didn't allow a single earned run, although to be fair, it was his error was the reason that those runs weren't earned. Struck out 8 over 5 and 2/3 innings. Schweitzer 1-2 record now in the playoffs with an ERA of close to 6. Suarez injured while pitching, and Arellano, the catcher, bruised thumb after getting hit by that pitch, which plated the tying run in the ninth. Unfortunately, we're unable to score anymore and make that injury and the pain that Arellano is in worthwhile. So a pivotal game number 5 here in Boston. We've got the righty Ichimura on the mound. They've got the righty John Cohen on the mound. This was a matchup that was a relatively easy win for the Rockies in game number 1. And an easy win for the Rockies in game number 5. 15-4 victory. Ichimura with his second win of the World Series. Cohen with his second loss. KR Jr. with his first home run of the World Series, Kuhn with his second, and Bear Barrel Davia with a home run. That might be his first of the playoffs. Taking a look at the box score, 2 runs in the second and third pushed us out to a 4-0 lead. We extended it to 6-1 heading into the bottom of the 7th. They closed the gap to 6-4, but a run in the 8th gave us a 7-4 lead, and then we erupted with 8 runs in the top of the 9th to put this thing well out of reach. 3-hit day for Kuhn and Torres, 2-hit days from Kevin Roberts Jr., Bear Barrel Davia, and Castillo. Kevin Roberts Jr. playing like he did years ago, 2 for 3 with a couple of runs, 4 ribbies, walked once, 2 homers and 10 ribbies now in the playoffs for KR Jr., although he is hitting only a $188. Ichimura, another short but effective outing, 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned runs over 5 1/3. Josh and Hirota gave up runs in relief. Hirota, though, pitches a scoreless 9th to finish things off for us. Kevin Roberts Jr. at 36 is your player of the game. Cohen with another rough outing, and we did see 5 Boston relievers. Off day tomorrow, though, as we travel back to Colorado. We got what we had hoped for. We're headed back to Colorado up 3-2, so we only need to win 1 more game this year at home with 2 tries ahead of us, and we will win the 8th World Series title for these Rockies. And we are back in Colorado. Good pitching matchup today on the mound for Boston. The lefty Danny West. We've got the righty Jesse Hoffmeister, although we wish we could have won that National League Championship Series more quickly. We are set up very well with last year's Cy Young Award winner and this year's potential Cy Young Award winner on the mound tomorrow if necessary. So certainly like the pitching matchups, certainly like being at home. The question is, can we win this in 6, or will we have to go to a winner-take-all game number 7 to decide the 2044 World Series? And no need for a game number 7, a 4-2 victory in game 6 for the Rockies. So we do capture our first World Series title in 4 years. Jesse Hoffmeister with the win, West with the loss, Schweitzer with his first save of the series. Tom McNeil with a home run today, and the young outfielder was named your World Series most valuable player. Red Sox scored a run in the 2nd on an RBI single by Newman to take the lead, but 2 runs in the 4th for the Rockies, 2-run single from McNeil, and 2 runs in the 6th. A 2-run home run from McNeil gave us a 4-0 lead, or 4-1 lead. Geisler did hit a solo homer off of Hoffmeister in the 7th, but only 2 hits on the day for the Red Sox. 4 runs, 8 hits for the Rockies, so a spectacular run through the playoffs for Jesse Hoffmeister, 3-2 record. 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned runs over 7 innings. Did get the strikeouts today with 11, 152 ERA for him across the playoffs. Harville and Schweitzer combined for 2 perfect innings of relief with 1 strikeout each to close things out. McNeil, not surprisingly, 3 for 4, driving in every run of the game. Not only is your player of the game, but also your 2044 World Series most valuable player, as we talked about. So in 2044, our 20th season since we took this Rockies franchise over, get our 8th World Series title. As I mentioned, our first World Series title since 2040 after 3 straight years of playoff failure, including 2 straight years of upset losses in the NLDS. Got the job done right this year. Never faced a potential elimination game against either the Braves, the Mets, or the Red Sox. On our way to the title. And from what I've read online and in the forums, the recommendation if you're going to transfer to a new version of the game is to do it right before the off-season starts, after the playoffs are done. And we won the World Series yesterday, and the off-season begins tomorrow. So that means that we are going to try to see if we can transfer this successfully over to OOTP 27. Hopefully we'll see you shortly with our Rockies in a brand new version of the game. And it appears that we have successfully transferred our 20-year-old Colorado Rockies series from OOTP 26 to OOTP 27. We'll find out for sure, or at least have a much better feeling about it when we move to the beginning of the off-season tomorrow, get our final evaluation on the season from ownership, which should be good after we just won the World Series title. Can't say I totally understand the different color schematics here in the game between the different playoff series. I guess don't really understand why some of the series are in gray and some of them are in black. Must mean something, but I haven't been able to figure out exactly what it means quite yet. Hopefully, the beginning of the off-season will go fine tomorrow. And then once we get to the beginning of the off-season, check in on any messages that we've got from ownership. I think we still do have some team option decisions ahead of us, including the longtime ace, Leo Martinez, who we won a World Series without this year in the postseason. So we'll move ahead a day and finish up this episode, finish up the postseason officially, and move into the off-season. And then I'll also spend some time offline just checking in on the settings of the game and letting you know anything that I decide to change going forward for these Rockies here in OOTP 27. And the off-season is ready to get underway. Nice, strong season score for our Rockies this year, but more important than that, 8th World Series title, as we've talked about. Looks like the display here for the statistics is kind of scrunched down and not particularly good with the way that those stats lines get cut off. Don't know if that's a display setting I need to change or just a known bug with OOTP 27, but clearly we'll hope that we get to a point where that looks better going forward. Development facilities will be open for us. Arbitration period beginning. The off-season obviously underway. Top prospects list. Luis Vera, our first top 10 prospect in many years, with Luis Vera at number 8. And we also have Ernesto Menivar at number 4. So that's a big change in how our farm system has looked. Menivar, you may remember, left-hander. He missed all of 2043 due to injuries. He was a scouting discovery who has really become a big-time prospect for us. Unfortunately, some more injury issues this year. You can see where we've got the default statistical settings. I don't know if my views came over. No, it looks like even though I transferred from OOTP 26, I'll have to rebuild all of my custom views. So we'll certainly do that before we end up going to do our full review of our roster at the start of the offseason in the next episode. But Menivar, the number 4 prospect baseball now, pitched just 13 games this past year, combined for a 5-1 record between High A Spokane and Double A Hartford. Still certainly looks like a very interesting prospect, but unfortunately missed all of last year, only 13 starts this year. Already fragile as far as his injury proneness. Torn labrum cost him all of last season, and then he suffered a torn meniscus in mid-June that basically cost him probably a little more than half of this season, but he is still viewed as a very high-end prospect. I'm not going to lie, I initially, in terms of my view here, think I prefer the old color schematic for the different ratings, but maybe it's just because this is new and it's something that I need to get used to. Do kind of like that you can see all of the pitches of the arsenal, all 6 of them in the case of Menivar, without having to scroll down in terms of the pitching ratings, but it may just have to do with many, many years of looking at the ratings in the previous OOTP format, but the default here, not loving it, to be honest with you. Our other top 10 prospect is Luis Vera, international free agent signing from just a couple of years ago. And again, I don't love here where the year that he was picked gets cut off. Hopefully there's a way to change some of those things going forward. But Luis Vera, the Secretary of Defense, very busy year for him. Started in High A ball where he hit .323 with 25 homers and 85 ribbies. Promoted him up to Double A Hartford where he hit .310 with a couple of homers and 13 ribbies and 84 at-bats. And then we promoted him to Triple A as a 20-year-old at the end of the year. He didn't embarrass himself. .229 average with a couple of home runs and 4 ribbies. Put up an OPS of about 750, 84 OPS plus. He was below replacement level. Doesn't look like he's quite ready for Triple A or the majors based on that performance, although honestly, when we look at his ratings, looks like he could be making a pretty strong case to make the major league roster next year. We'll certainly consider using him in the development lab in relatively short order to give his potential a boost, hopefully. But 2 top 10 prospects for the Rockies, which is something that we haven't had in a long time. And Trent Nath, that happened quickly. He was our first round draft pick only 4 years ago in 2040, and his career has not gone well. Got a brief cup of coffee, did play 1 game in the majors with us in 2042, never actually had an official at-bat. This past year, basically his career was over. 2043, he had 17 games, 20 plate appearances with us, just 1 game played, 1 at-bat this season. He did go out with a single in his only at-bat of this 2044 season, but the product from Southern New Hampshire University, only 26 years old, his rating is just went in the tubes basically the second the ink was dry on his contract with us. You can see the last time he got any significant action was as a 23-year-old 2 years ago in 2042, and he hit a .184 in 361 major league or AAA plate appearances. Had that nickname Sluggo, although his defensive skills remained solid. His bat was brutal. Reviewing our season goals, we got a championship. Wants us to extend Carlos Bear Barrel Davila. Great job hitting the financial target. Sure, the long run through the playoffs helped us with that. Impressed with the work that we've made on our farm system. Says we were only looking to become top 6, and we've gone above and beyond, so big progress there. Still wants us to improve the record in extra inning games, despite a 100-win season and a World Series title. I guess he's got high standards. Wants us to bring home another World Series trophy in the near future to solidify our legacy. Happy with our performance and goals. Overall mood with our performance, very happy. Next year, wants another championship. Wants us to sign Bear Barrel Davila to an extension, acquire a top player, improve our record in extra inning games, and build another dynasty. New budget, $280 million. So that's a big cut to our budget, which is certainly not optimal. I thought we were right at $300 million or just over $300 million last year. You can see still in the early stages of playing around with the game. Going to have to adjust some of the default screens here back to what I am used to seeing and what I prefer. But yeah, that $280 million budget is definitely a big step backwards for us, and you can see we essentially have no money available for the 2045 off season, which will clearly make it very difficult to improve this team much. But we are the World Series champions, so you can argue we don't need to improve a lot. A couple of option year decisions. Josh Joss, team option for $4 million. He put up a 2.21 ERA for us in 57 innings pitched out of the bullpen. Remains a very good reliever for us at the age of 32. Does tend to walk more batters than we would prefer, but over the course of his career, he has been a good one for us. 330 earned run average and a 122 whip over almost 500 innings pitched over the past decade. So we're happy to bring Joss back for $4 million next year. And then Leo Martinez, team option for $8 million. Longtime ace. Was pitching very well for us this past year, 7-1 with a 196 ERA and a sub-1 whip in 12 starts before he suffered that torn UCL. The 12-time All-Star. I believe he's a 12. Maybe he's a 13-time All-Star at this point. I think I missed one. Yeah, it looks like he's a 13-time All-Star at this point. Because, yeah, he was named to the All-Star team this year, even though he was injured. Still out for another 3 to 4 months. We've got a team option for $8 million for him for next year. His stuff certainly not what it once was. The movement even down a little bit, but we think he continues to have that pinpoint control. He has been, along with Kevin Roberts Jr., a cornerstone player for us to build this franchise around. So we are going to bring him back as well. Should be healthy by the early stages of spring training, if not right at the start of spring training. So Martinez and Joss will both be back with us next year. Definitely going to need to spend some time looking at all of the different screens here in OOTP 27, because as I said, I don't love the way that things are cut off here. Still got to get used to the way the ratings appear. Still need to add in my custom looks at the different statistical screens and my custom screens for free agents and draftees that have a little bit more information on ratings and statistics in some cases, and certainly on personality traits. So I'll be working on adapting all of that and seeing if there are other things that I can do to make these screens, I guess, just the way that they've always been. I do say I'm old school, so I don't feel bad saying that I think I like things the old way, but we'll see if I can change things back to look a little more like the old way, or maybe I'll adapt and learn how to operate successfully with the new screens here in OOTP 27. But glad that we've transferred the game over. Going to spend some time between now and the next episode, as I said, getting a little more familiar with the new screens, setting up some old screens where I can to look like the ones I'm used to and have the customizations that I'm used to. But the job was done well here in 2044. Next time around, we will sim up to free agency, or the start of free agency, which is a little more than 3 weeks away. Sim through the award winners, and as I noted, the big objective for the next episode, in addition to just getting familiar with the interface and the screens, is going to be to do our annual roster review and start planning for this off season, when we're likely to lose one huge player on our team. In the case of Mike Castro, Chris Kennedy and Chris Kuhn, very important reliever for us, and then Kuhn, who's been our number 3 hitter the last few years, also potential free agents, along with Tyler Barry and our closer Eric Schweitzer. So definitely going to be a challenge to keep this team together, given that we've essentially got no money to spend, and a closer, a former Cy Young winning reliever, our number 3 hitter, our leadoff hitter who was the NL MVP a year ago, and catcher who put up a really nice year for us as a platoon guy against left-handed pitching, as free agents with no money to spend. But that'll make it a great challenge for us in 2045. But we will officially get the off-season underway next time around. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.